times before they really develop. So many marketing messages everywhere. And so people are closed off to all of this. And so people have to encounter your message multiple times before they begin to recognize you. And so the similar principle applies when it comes to the BDC, is we want to use many different marketing channels to reach potential entrepreneurs for the program, people that we would want to recruit into the program. And so here you see a marketing funnel. Are any of you familiar with marketing funnels? Okay, the idea is that you have a wide mouth to the funnel, right? And you're putting out marketing in many different forms, trying to touch as many people as you can with that marketing, but it's targeted, right? It's not random, it's targeted. But then people encounter your brand, and that produces interest, right? They have response mechanisms where they respond to your marketing in some way, and they come into your funnel as a lead, right? And so the marketing process in the BDC is that they come in as a lead, and then you somehow have a face-to-face communication with them. You know, I've seen a lot of BDC marketing that has failed at that point. Once someone has expressed interest in the BDC, someone needs to engage with them. Someone needs to talk to them. Someone needs to say, yes, the BDC would be great for you. You know, one of the ways that Dr. Mulford and I, the very first BDC in Rwanda, there was no one else to run it, right? It was just Dr. Mulford and myself. We were commuting back and forth to Rwanda. He was there for a couple of weeks. He would fly back home. I would fly in for a couple of weeks. Then I would fly back home. He would fly in. We did that. And so I would, you know, we were like a tag team, you know. Hey, Dr. Mulford, see you. And then we were going and coming, you know. And so, but what we did is everywhere we went, we would meet people. And as we met people, we would say, hey, let me tell you about something we're doing. We're doing this thing called a BDC. Do you know anybody that would be interested? And many times they'd say, I'm interested, you know, and we would talk and we'd say, hey, this would be a perfect program for you. And we ended up being able to recruit a lot of people that way. And so that personal touch is important. But people, you put out marketing, like let's say you do an event and you have a response mechanism at that event. If you're interested in the BDC, we have a sign-up form, okay, something like that. And there's a response mechanism. So now they've signed up and that's a lead, then you talk to them, you contact them, you communicate with them, you give them information. And then after you've had that, some percentage will convert to applications. They're interested enough that they'll apply to the BDC. Then we review those applications and we accept some of them. They receive a confirmation and then they pay and they're enrolled in the program. So that's the basic sales funnel that you see there. And let's look at some of these marketing channels. Word of mouth systems. Now, word of mouth makes sense, but when I say word of mouth systems, how is word of mouth a system? How could word of mouth be systematized? Do you get what I'm saying? Because you know what word of mouth is. Word of mouth is when someone has encountered your product and they're out there in the marketplace and they tell their friend, hey, I really like this thing. That's word of mouth. But is that a system? That's not really a system, is it? Yeah, Raphael.
I'm trying to feel like it's a snowball kind of thing.
Okay.
Where you tell somebody about the program, then you tell him to tell his or her friend.
Okay.
Or to introduce you to his or her friend.
Okay. Yeah, so I like what you're saying. He's saying it's where you organize people who would normally do word of mouth a bit by encouraging them to tell their friends, maybe incentivizing them, right? You can incentivize them to tell their friends so that they can pattern. I have a client, a marketing client, and they have a system, a word of mouth system where they incentivize their customers. If you refer someone else to us who also buys, we give you a gift card, right? We show you some appreciation, and they also have a little on their card, on the back. It has a little referral form where the person can write their name, give it to their friend, and then if their friend presents that card, both of them get a discount. The friend, and then there's also a benefit to the person who gave it. So that's a system. So you can come up with ways to incentivize the entrepreneurs that are in the program as well as others to actually do a good job of sharing through word of mouth. Internet, obviously, ads, Facebook, partnerships with other organizations that will share their list with you. I can think of the Rwanda Development Board was a partnership that we had in Rwanda. They had a list of maybe 600 people that had attended some form of training that they had done. They said, here's our list. We sent out a communication to all of those people. Many of those people responded in some way. Open houses. An open house is something you do in the program where you have a certain portion of one of the classes where people in the class can invite their friend to come and see what they're doing, to experience it. And so open houses can be very effective in marketing the BDC because you're training and teaching some interesting topic and people come in and they sit and they enjoy and they see the group and they see that everyone's having fun. They see that everyone's learning and they say, wow, I want to be a part of that, right? And so then you take their information and you can recruit them. Events, every event that you do, obviously take advantage of that event as a way to do public relations and marketing. Email, create an email list where you can do drip marketing, something like MailChimp, or what is your favorite email listserv program? Do you have any favorites? Do you use anything like that for email marketing? MailChimp, he said. Okay. There's several out there. There's many available. So those are, you could create an email list, and if you have anyone's email, then you're constantly marketing to them. Every month or so they get a little message. We call it a drip campaign, right? Drip. Church marketing, for two side with the logo, and it says this is what we've come to do. That's what we ask for. Your name and your email address. So if you take more than 2 minutes, the pastor will get angry with you. So you take your 2 minutes and you use them well. You say, we're excited. We have an entrepreneurship training program that's going to do this and this and this and this. And if you're interested in learning more and in receiving a free document called The Keys to Entrepreneurship that will really bless you and benefit you, just text your name and your email address to this number. Thank you, Pastor, so much for allowing me to share. And you sit down. And then people take their phone out, and you have maybe 20, depending on the size of the church, you have 20 or 30 people that have expressed interest. And so you have your team equipped to go out and you contact churches systematically and you say, can we come and share for 2 minutes? We promise we'll only take 2 minutes. You better keep your promise. But we promise we'll only take 2 minutes and we'll share what we're doing. And that was a very effective way of marketing as well. So all of these things can work. Any other ideas, any other marketing channels that I don't have up there that you could do? Can you think of any others? This process could be used for many different kinds of businesses, couldn't it? Yeah, because you have a wide funnel that produces a certain number of leads that then. Yeah. Absolutely, TV and radio talk, especially. So there's TV and radio advertising where they send you their media kit and you have to pay for advertising. That's quite expensive, right? But you can also, I think what you're saying is get invited onto a program where they interview you and talk about, those are very effective. If you want that to be effective though, what's one thing you must not forget to do in that setting if you want that to actually produce something? Yeah.
I think before the talk you have to prepare questions for the presenter to ask you.
Okay, yeah. That's a very good thought. That's not what I was thinking of, but that's an excellent point. So please make note of that. Did you have something to add? So what if people get excited about, oh, that was very interesting, but what do they need at that point to take the next step? contact, yeah, right. I would say you need a very simple, easy to use. We call it, in marketing, we call it low friction, right? You don't want friction in the system. Friction creates resistance, creates, many people have a good intention, right? People hear about the BDC and what is their good intention? Oh, that's very interesting. I should inquire someday about that. Will they do anything? No. 5 minutes later, they get busy doing something else. They forget. Maybe they remember an hour later, oh yeah, I should check into that. I should Google it. An hour later, something else happens and they forget. And their good intention never converts into action. And so that's the friction. You have to remove all the friction so that the good intention actually becomes action, so that they do something. So you don't, if you're playing tennis, we say, the ball is in my court, right? What does it mean when the ball is in my court? That means it's my opportunity to play. You don't want the ball to be only in their court for long. You want it to be in your court so that you can take action, so that you can follow up, so that you can communicate, so that you can do those things. And so that's important. You want the ball in your court. The way you get the ball in your court is you have a low friction response mechanism, right? And this is true of any marketing. A low friction response mechanism, like we were talking about in the church. Maybe the host on the radio says, if you're interested, you can visit this website, and there's a form there that you can fill out. But even that's not as low friction. I still like the idea of an SMS. Maybe there's a QR code on the screen if it's television. Here's the QR code. You flash that QR code, a form comes up on your phone, boom, boom, boom. You enter 2 or 3 things, now the ball's in my court. I'm happy as a marketer, right? Because I know what I'm going to do. I'm not worried, it's moved from good intentions that they're likely to forget now to an action. Now I can follow up. That's what you want. And so I like that idea. Radio, television, any other channels you can think of? Yes.
I wanted to elaborate much on the internet, the power of the internet.
Okay, yeah.
Now there is this paid promotion adverts on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
People, they use Instagram, so you can create an advert and boost it and locate it to the specific areas. Like people from Arusha or people of these characteristics to view. Then you link that advert with WhatsApp
Mm-hmm.
to the website where people can get more details about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about this, what he's bringing up. It's very important. Facebook marketing dashboard. It's called Meta now. You can also access Instagram ads and all those kinds of things. Or if you do Google, you can also access YouTube through Google, because those companies are together now. And you can do pay-per-click advertising. In Africa, it's cheap. It won't stay cheap. It's going to become very expensive here eventually, but now it's cheap. So take advantage of it. What do I mean by cheap? In the US, to recruit a student in a university, they pay about the student acquisition cost, that means one student, the marketing cost is around $4,000 for one student. And they aggressively market to get that one student. I did some work with a university in Zambia. Do you know what our acquisition cost was? Like $4. I could produce literally hundreds of inquiries through digital marketing every single day for a $200 or $300 a month marketing budget. Hundreds of inquiries. It was so cheap. It was pennies. It was just a few cents. Whereas that same marketing campaign in a different market, because it's all, the way that Facebook or Meta, Instagram, Google, YouTube, the way all of those people calculate it is the competition. If it's very competitive, they raise the price of that click because it's an auction. It's a click auction, really. They have other people competing for that same keyword, that same interest. And if you bid higher because you're willing to spend more budget per day, your ad gets shown more. But the competition, for some reason, I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me, the competition in Africa is quite low. Yet all the young people are on these platforms using it constantly, but the competition's quite low. Advertisers in Africa haven't, maybe I'm wrong, correct me, maybe. Maybe they just don't know about this yet. They're not using it that much. So when I've done marketing in Africa, which I've done a fair amount now, you know, for cents, the same click in Africa that I'm paying 5 cents for, I'm paying $25 for in the United States because the competition's very high, right? So take advantage of the current environment, you know, use digital marketing by all means. Yeah, so, and what you do is this interesting to you? Because I don't want to bore you if it's, okay. What you do is you create ads that when people click it, it takes them to a form on your website, a simple form that they can fill out. If you're interested, contact us. And I typically will connect that form directly to a CRM. Does anybody know what a CRM is? Help me. Customer Relationship Management System. These are software programs that some are free. They have a free plan, or some of them you pay $25 a month for, which is still quite cheap. And what happens is everybody that, what it happens is it shows the pipeline. This pipeline is built into the software dashboard. And so what happens is you have each stage built into your software because you can customize it. And so when a person fills out that form, you link your CRM to that form so that they get automatically dropped into your dashboard on the CRM. And whoever's doing the follow-up, all they have to do is log in, they look and they say, hey, I have 25 people to follow up. They follow up, and if the person takes the next step, they just move them to the next step in the pipeline, and it becomes very automated. And it keeps you from neglecting to follow up, right? It helps you. So that's a very important system to also consider. Yeah, and in your digital marketing, in those ads that you run, they're very short, right? It's a very short ad. It just says, you know, fulfill your purpose as an entrepreneur, something like that, you know. Have you dreamed of being an entrepreneur? Question mark. That's all the headline of the ad is. And then it says BDC entrepreneurship training program, affordable entrepreneurship training program, or whatever you put, and that's in there. And then people just click to, there's an interesting picture, a smiling entrepreneur. People click. They're going through their Instagram. Oh, click. Now they're on your page. They follow up, and then you have a contact. So does that make sense? Yeah. But you can't just leave it there. That's where I've seen a lot of people fail. They get that lead, and they're like, yay, I have 200 leads. But they fail to do this step of engaging them personally. You know, if you fail to do that, it won't work. Does that make sense? Any questions about this before we move on? Yes, yes, please. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, wow. Mm. Mm. Okay. Yeah, by all means. By all means, that's true. So these are microfinance loan groups where they've pooled their money and then they loan and pay it back and the pool grows. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good system. And so do you think some of them would want to enroll in the BDC, or that they would recommend people for the BDC, or they would accept new people into their loan group? What do you think? Okay. Okay. I'm not sure it's working.
Yeah. I don't think many of them have all the necessary skills, or even if they do, they would always want to add something to it. And this should be also one of our target markets groups.
I like that. Yeah, it's almost like that could be part of this partnership channel. You know, we could partner with some of them. I think that's a very excellent idea. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes. Webinars, okay.
So if you create webinars and maybe have a topic to discuss, a topic that is, that people are interested in, and so you have maybe an expert to discuss that topic. So there are people who pick interest and they sign in to listen, and after that, advertise BDC. I think it's a powerful way of getting people.
I like that. So he's saying use webinars. I think that you can do a little brief webinar on a topic that many people in the business community, or even those that aspire to be entrepreneurs, would have interest in, and you get to tell them more. You're not promoting the short training, and they get the value, and they say, these people really do know what they're talking about. Yeah, let me connect with them. That's a good idea. I like it. So let's talk a little bit about the pipeline. And so you have to, when you're planning to do the marketing campaign, you have to make certain assumptions, right? And so here's the pipeline: leads, face-to-face communication, applications, acceptances, confirmed. Acceptance is when you communicate with the prospective entrepreneur and you say, congratulations, we've reviewed your application, you've been accepted into the program, this is how you send your money, right? Then they confirm, and when the money's actually received, that's what we call an enrollment. But what you will find is that all of your leads, that's the 100%, some percentage of them will take the next step. So you have to make educated guesses, right? So you make these assumptions of, if I get this many leads, how many of those will actually accept my call, will meet with me, and then how many of those will complete an application, and how many of them now scientific assumption. Do your best. Each stage you have marketing actions to communicate with face-to-face. In your presentations as people of faith, is this making? You'll learn that not all marketing channels produce the same quality of leads, right? So what are some of the marketing channels that produce better leads that are likely to convert at a higher ratio? Can any of you tell me what you think? Have you had any experience with this? What are some of the marketing channels that produce the most high-value leads? Church marketing, okay. The internet, okay. There's one up here, those are good answers, but there's one up here which is probably the very best. Word of mouth, yeah. Word of mouth will usually produce your highest quality leads because someone else is vouching for you. Someone else is, we all as customers, think of yourself as a consumer. As a consumer, when your friend says, hey, someone you trust, right? They say, hey, this thing really is good. You trust that at a much higher level. And so that's probably one of the best And so you'll realize, it's important that you take this step, though, and that you make these assumptions, because it's going to help you at the next step, and you're going to see how that works here in just a moment. So all of that, when you're doing your plan, needs to be, and so we're talking about essentially a marketing plan here, okay? All of that needs to be converted into actions, right? And so what you do is based on this ratio that we just had. So we have this conversion ratio here. This is in our assumptions, right? If I want to have based on this, if I want to have 45 enrollments, how many leads do I need? Huh? 300. If I want to have 45 enrollments, I have to have 300 leads. I don't know what your assumptions will be here. The team here is going to have to do their thinking, do their research, consider carefully, look at their past experiences, and determine what the conversion ratios actually will be here in Tanzania. Their best effort at coming up with those assumptions. But according to this, which this is different than what you'll have, right? This is different. But according to this, if you want to have 45, you have to have 300. So if your plan isn't a solid, well thought out plan for 300, what are you planning to do? Are you planning to succeed, or are you planning to fail? So if you have a plan to get 200 leads, but you know that to make the program successful, you need 45 entrepreneurs in the program to make it successful, to break even, let's say. But you only have a plan for 200 leads, what are you doing? You're planning to fail. You have to be accountable. We have to be, and I see business people do this all the time. I call it wishing well marketing. You know what a wishing well is? Can anybody tell me what's a wishing well? Have you seen these things? Yeah, hoping something will happen. But do you have wishing wells here? You find them all around the world. You know, a wishing well or a fountain. Have you seen these things? Maybe it's not so common here. I hope not. I don't like them personally, but you find them everywhere. You know, you go to a fountain and there's all this money in the fountain. You know, these people go up and they take a coin and they make a wish and they throw it into the fountain or into the well. It's called a wishing well. You know, throw in a coin, make a wish. It's not a Christian practice, obviously. Christians shouldn't be doing that kind of foolishness. Yeah. We have access to the throne of grace through the blood of Jesus. We can't do these kind of foolish things. But people do it, right? People throw a coin in and they wish something good will happen. Many marketers do the same thing. Many entrepreneurs do the same thing. They throw a little money into marketing and, I hope something good will happen. That's not how we should operate, you know? So what we have to do instead is have a detailed step-by-step plan for customer acquisition. Can we say that together? Detailed, step-by-step plan for customer acquisition. Okay, so that's what we have to have. So we have to have a plan for 300. So here's a plan for 85. That wouldn't be sufficient. Right? A plan for 85 is not sufficient. You have to have a plan for 300. But here's an example of a plan. Every step that you're going to take in marketing, you put it down. You put it down, for example, you say word of mouth. What do you mean by if you just said word of mouth, if you just covered up this part here, email alumni, if that was covered and it only said word of mouth, that's not an action step. Word of mouth, where you have a detail, email alumni and request for referrals every month. Now that's a plan, because you have a specific action. Every month, we're going to email our alumni and ask them, please remember to tell other people about the BDC. And we then make an educated assumption that if we do this during a period of time, that's going to produce 10 leads. okay? And then we put the date that it's going to start and the date that it's going to be on the calendar. And actually, if it's every month, you would have 02, you see this was 2014 I developed this, so it's been a few years. But it would say 02, 12, 24, right? And then you would say 03, 12, 24, 04, 12, 24. You'd have all the dates that that action will take place. It has to be specific date that that action must take place by. You're going to see why this is important. Because many people make a plan, put the plan in a folder, put the folder in the filing cabinet, and then do whatever. If you don't execute a plan, it has no real value. So you have to put specific dates, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, because those dates can make it to the calendar. And then someone's job is to do everything on the calendar, the marketing calendar. Everything that's on the marketing calendar must be done. And then that person, if they don't do that job, they're held accountable, right? So that's how you make sure that this happens in any business. In any business, this is true. And so then you say, you have another word of mouth action. The open house each week. Current class invites prospects. 4 leads a week times 4 weeks, so we have 16 leads, right? And again, you would put the dates. Another word of mouth thing, distribute brochures in class and ask them to make referrals. 10 leads. Internet advertising, Facebook ads. 20 leads, right? And the specific date that you're going to run that ad. The day you're going to start it, and maybe the day it will end. An event, Entrepreneurship Week, have a recruiting table. For example, there's an Entrepreneurship Week that's sponsored by the government, and you can have a table or a display. You could go to that, and you say, so each and everything, church marketing, right? Another event. And so, but based on our assumptions, if we said we needed 45, would this plan succeed? Is this plan sufficient? No, we fall short by 216 leads. So let's say our team gathers, right? We're talking here together. Our team gets together. We have a marketing meeting. We're brainstorming. We're coming up with ideas. We're putting those ideas down, and we're putting them on the whiteboard in this format. We'll do this action. How many leads will it create? And the team thinks and discusses and debates. And they say, that's going to produce 10 leads. And then we talk about the next thing. We brainstorm and we come up with ideas, and we put down the next idea. And we have this wonderful marketing meeting. At the end of our marketing meeting, we have 84 leads. What do? We go back and we start over. And we say, look, team, we're 216 leads short. This won't work. It's a good idea. Thank you for all your input, but we have to do better. And so you keep going back and back and back and back until you have a plan that will produce this. And so there's a column for the marketing action, the assumption on how many leads it will produce, the dates that you will execute, but there's 2 other columns that need to be here. What 2 columns are missing? Say it louder, I heard. Huh? No, not remark, someone else. Responsible person, what she said, yes. The responsible person, you have to have a column here. Responsible person. The person who you're going to go to, and if they fail to do what they said they're going to do, you say, hey, you, what happened here? The team is depending on you. You know, we were planning to do this thing, and you didn't do what you said you would do. It's your responsibility. Accountability, right? No excuses. When it comes to marketing execution, there's one metric that accounts. You know what the metric I use for marketing execution with all my clients? I have a consulting company. With all my clients, do you know what metric I use for execution? Yes, no. That's the measurement. We don't accept any 80% execution. Because execution, now we accept 80% results, yes. But when it comes to execution, did you do the thing you said you would do, yes or no? If you said, I did 8 of the 9 things I said I would do, no, You didn't execute. If you said you'd do 5 things and you did 4, no, you didn't execute. That's the only metric. Pass, fail. Pass, fail. That's the only metric. There's no other measurement. Did you do what you said you would do? Because if you have a marketing plan and you fail to execute, now there might be situations where you realize that it wasn't a good idea after all, and then you have to come up with an alternate, but still, that alternate, did you execute? You know? Yes or no? That's it. Anything else is foolishness. Because you didn't do what you said you would do. Does that make sense? So responsible person. What's the other column? There's one more column that we need here that we don't have. It's very important, but we haven't touched on it yet. What is it? Not remarks, although that would be okay to have remarks, but it's not remarks. Let's keep trying. I know we'll get there. Progress, no. I mean, all those are good. KPI, no. If I do this, what is the detail that I'm missing here on this? If I do the internet advertising. Cost. Budget. There needs to be a budget column. Because some of these things won't cost you much. Some of them things will cost you. So you also have a budget column. So down here at the bottom, you also have a total budget. And that allows you to calculate your anticipated cost per lead, right? And your anticipated cost per enrollment, right? And then you can try to beat that, right? Once you have those assumptions, you're trying to exceed, you're trying to do better, you try to beat that and do it a lower cost. But so you always have anticipated leads, the execution date, the responsible person, and the budget. And so, you know, that's what a marketing plan looks like. You actually have action steps that have a particular date and a particular person and a particular budget attached to it. And that, is this helpful? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. But when you're doing your marketing plan, you determine the period. You determine the period. And in a BDC, very commonly, it's you have an entire period for enrollment where you're recruiting, and then the BDC class starts, and then you start over with another period where you're recruiting, and then next class starts, right? And so that's it. But different businesses are different, right? Different businesses have different recruiting time periods, and the marketing calendar should reflect the appropriate time period. So here's what we have. Each of the items in the marketing action table could have multiple steps, et cetera, and all of these should be reflected on the marketing calendar. That's what we haven't talked about. The marketing calendar, again, this is a place where many businesses fail. They have the marketing plan, and they have the actions detailed and even the budget, but it doesn't actually make it from there onto the calendar. So once you've created the plan, then you pull out a calendar. How many of you, what kind of calendars do you use? Do you use the calendar on your phone? Yeah. How many people use the calendar on their phone? Okay. Which calendar app do you use? Google. Okay, Google. I like Google. There's different calendar apps. I like Google for this reason. What can you do with a Google Calendar as a team? Huh? You can share your calendar. So you create a BDC marketing calendar, and you share the calendar with the entire team that's responsible. And what do you put on the calendar? You put on the calendar, on such a date, John will do this. You know? And so it's got the name of the responsible person, the name of the description of the action, the specific action that will be taken, right? And then that person has a notification set up for maybe a week before, or whatever the appropriate amount of time is before. A reminder pops up on their phone. They're going about their business, they're busy, they're volunteering and working with the BDC, but they're also busy with other activities, and then a reminder pops up on their phone. Remember, deadline next week. Put in the ad with Instagram, with this budget for this amount of time. They say, hey, that's right, I remember, now I have to do this, and they actually will execute it then, right? Is this helpful? I know that maybe it seems boring, I don't know, but the reality is I see so many people fail at this point. They have a great intention. Yeah, I'm going to do this marketing. This is what I'm going to do. But then they get busy with the day-to-day activities of their business, and they fail to execute their plan, and then they're surprised that they don't have results. We can't do that. We have to actually move those things to the calendar, and that will really help us. Really help us. So here's some of the metrics that you can have, that you can be measuring in the BDC. Your weekly marketing metrics, yes or no, remember? Did you do that? Did you do what you said you would do, yes or no? And so then you're measuring inbound leads. You're measuring how many appointments that you had or meetings, whether phone or face-to-face. You're tracking applications, accept and confirmed. All those things in the pipeline, you're tracking that. You're tracking that. So imagine this. The date for the launch here is January what? What's the date? January 27, right? That's what I was told. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But January 27, so that's the thing. As that date approaches, you're tracking. How are we doing? Are we having these meetings? Are we getting the applications in? How many people have we accepted? You're tracking that to see if you're making progress in that way. Okay? How many of you have a business that you could apply some of these same principles in your own business? Okay, good, good. I hope this is helpful. All right. I don't know. Do we have a break yet? I was about to start a new section, but I didn't know if we have a break now or do we continue? Can I continue or do we have a break? At 10:15. Okay, check. Okay. Well, I was about to launch a new section, and so I didn't want to launch that if we were going to break in just a couple minutes. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Well, let's talk a little bit more about marketing. Any questions or thoughts or anything you want to add on this marketing section? Any thoughts? Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. I think you have presented it so well. And I realized that, in my own business, failing to really do proper marketing. So say charity begins at home. So I think as a facilitator, I need also to practice this in my own business.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, I'm glad that that's helpful. You know, sometimes even in my business, just for the sake of integrity, even in my business, sometimes I realize that I'm not doing, you're not practicing everything you preach. All my clients, I'm very strict with my clients, You have to do this, and they're succeeding, and they're doing things, you know what I mean? And I hold them accountable, and then I'll look at my own business, and it's like, how much marketing have I done that I said I would do? It's like I need the consultant to hold me accountable, Jason, did you do it? Okay.
Thank you. You once say the cost of marketing or advertisement is high in US.
Yes.
And even even in Tanzania is also high. How could a person who is starting up could do to have to win a marketing
Yes.
in that scenario?
Digital marketing is less expensive here than it is there by a big measure. But that being said, I know that marketing in general can be quite expensive. You know, if you do outdoor marketing, for example, the costs are quite high here. You know what I mean by outdoor? Billboards and banners and those kinds of things, outdoor marketing. And so what can you do if you don't have the budget is what I hear you saying. So you can do different things. There are lower cost marketing channels, and many times early stage business that doesn't have a marketing budget will use those. And there's also what we call guerrilla marketing. You know, guerrilla marketing is like guerrilla warfare, but marketing, you know, it's where you do creative things to market, right? Let me see if I can show you some examples of guerrilla marketing. It's where you get more results for a lower budget. I might have some pictures here. Let me see if I can show you some. Let me search on my hard drive for just a moment. It's ready? Okay, yeah. I'm going to find it. Just bear with me for a moment, please. I'm going to show you some examples of guerrilla marketing, if I can find them. We might have to do it after the break if I can't. Can anybody think of an example of guerrilla marketing that you might have seen while I'm looking for this? Do you know what guerrilla marketing is? Okay. Okay.
I have some idea.
Okay. Take a stab at it.
It's
Yeah.
like creatively come up with something
that can attract attention, like maybe people passing or something that you can send on social media that is so catchy that somehow people can't miss it. They just
Yeah.
have to see. Maybe it's funny, but behind that you send your message that you want to send.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the kind of I think I've seen this in some towns where you just pass somewhere and there's a way they have done their advertisement and you just can't miss it. You know, you have to look at it.
Yeah. You use extra creativity to get people's attention. I was thinking of, I saw one example, and sometimes these things they do have a budget, but the budget is lower, you know, for guerrilla marketing. But it's almost like a media stunt, like you're saying. Like you hire a bunch of people that have a T-shirt, you know, with your stuff, and they all show up in one place, or you do a flash mob. You know what a flash mob is? That's a guerrilla marketing stunt. So let's say you have a bunch of friends. Let's say you're a young entrepreneur and you have 20 or 30 friends who really like you, and you say, look, guys, if all of you put on a T-shirt with my company logo and message, company logo on the front, message on the back, and but you wear another shirt over the T-shirt, so you're like in disguise, they don't see the T-shirt, and you all show up at such and such mall at such and such time, and this is what you're going to do. At a certain point, you're all going to assemble in the lobby of the mall. You're going to pull off the outer shirt so that revealing your T-shirt, and you're going to dance for 2 minutes, right? And then you're going to put on the shirt and go about your business as if nothing happened, right? And so, but the dance isn't just some random dance, it's all choreographed. It's as if there's just people in the mall, and then all of a sudden, all these people line up in lines, take off their shirt, dance for 2 minutes. People pull out their phones and start taking pictures and stuff, recording it on Instagram. And then everybody puts their shirts on, goes about their business as if nothing happened. What did it cost you? You said, we have a pizza party afterwards. Everybody come for pizza. We're going to celebrate. And what did it cost you? It cost you the cost of a pizza. But now, suddenly, that's being shared all over Instagram. There are many people there that saw it. Maybe the news even picks up one of those, because people film stuff with their phone, right? If something interesting happens, what happens? Everybody pulls out their phone. So that's an example of guerrilla marketing. It costs you effort. It costs you creativity. It costs you a little bit of money maybe to have the T-shirts printed, but it gives you a big result, you know? And so that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. I have some interesting outdoor advertising examples of guerrilla marketing that I'll look for later maybe and show it to you. So, but you're right. It's a stunt. It's a media stunt type thing.
I saw some. I think it was just about supermarket. I saw some guys doing acrobatics, and then with those T-shirts.
Yeah.
And they were doing acrobatics and saying, "What is that happening? What's happening?"
Right.
And all of a sudden, people were just
Taking their pictures, yeah, that's a good example. We have a tax service in our community. It's really a franchise. It's a franchise. It's all over. It's called Liberty Tax. And what they do is they find young unemployed or college students to dress up like the Statue of Liberty. They wear a long green robe. You know the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
And they have a band. They have a sign that says Liberty Tax. And then they have the hat that looks like the Statue of Liberty. So these young people will go out there and they pay them a little bit of money. It's actually good money for a college student. They pay them to stand there for 2 hours during rush hour when all the cars are going by and wave the banner and dance and get people's attention. And you know, it produces a lot of leads because it gets people to look at that person dressed up in that funny costume dancing on the side of the road. You know, it gets them a lot of leads. So. All right. Yes.
I've seen a lot of multi-level marketing in Uganda since 1999.
Multi-level? What kind of marketing?
Multi-level marketing.
Okay, yes.
I think that's what you know that's what we do. And since then until now, they start, they collapse. Yeah, could be the case. And what is the experience of that?
Why are multi-level marketings collapsing, are you saying?
Yes, that's what I mean. They start big wave until they are gone. I've seen marketing, people calling them level marketing experts. They go from X to Y to Z. What is the issue?
Because they burn out. Multi-level marketings usually burn out. The problem with them, in general, this is the general problem with multi-level marketing, is you convince people to abuse their relationships in exchange for money. So you're tempting people to exchange something of great value, their relationships, for something of much lesser value, which is money. And people, you have a social contract. It's not biblical, for one thing, but you have a social contract with the people that are your friends and relationships to treat them with respect and kindness and to do things that are in their best interest. But multi-level marketing incentivizes people many times to take their valuable relationships and to treat them like a commodity, to abuse them, to say, hey, just sign up for this thing. And then what happens is people they get involved in those, they end up feeling used, they end up feeling abused. And so what happens is a multi-level marketing will come into a place, people get excited, it flourishes for a while, and then it burns out, and everybody has these bad experiences. Because everybody signs up because they're going to become a millionaire, right? Right? And don't normally incentivize people with godly incentives. Normally it's, I remember, the first multi-level marketing meeting I went to, I was 15 years old. And my aunt was very interested. She wanted to become a millionaire. So we went to the meeting. The guy had a flip chart like this. And it's like, you deserve this life. And he turned the page, and he had taped images from magazines of like a yacht, luxury sports car, watches, money, all these things he cut out of magazines and pasted. This was before the days of PowerPoint, right? All these things were pasted. You deserve this life. Why can't you have the good things in life? Well, I'm here to tell you how you can have all the good things. So what is he doing? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. What the three? I call them the three A's. Right? This is how the world works. The world has a motive for business. It's appetites, appearances, and accomplishments. Right? The lust of the flesh, appetites. The lust of the eyes, how do I appear? Do I appear successful? Everybody, look at me. I've succeeded. I'm driving this nice car. These really nice clothes. There's nothing wrong with nice cars and clothes. Don't misunderstand me. But if that's what you're after, that's the lust of the eyes. The lust of the flesh is the appetites. The lust of the flesh is appetites. The lust of the eyes is the appearances, and then the pride of life. What's that? Accomplishments. Look at what I've done. I've succeeded in business. I've done great things. I made millions. Look at me. All that. And so that's what this guy was doing. He was saying, look, go after these things. But the Bible says that that's not the wisdom from above. Mm-hmm. That wisdom is earthly, sensual, and demonic. So if you want to play that game, that's who you're going to be working with. You're working out of that which is earthly, sensual, and demonic. And so it speaks to motivations. And so what I've seen with multi-level marketing, for the most part, not everybody, not everybody, but for the most part, they come in and they say, here's the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. You can have all these things. All you have to do is sign up under me, give me access to all your closest friends, which is your true treasure, right? Mm-hmm. That's the real riches, your relationships. That's eternal, right? You can take people to heaven with you if you share the gospel with them, right? Yeah. That's true riches. They want you to exchange true riches, for a chance to become wealthy. But do most people that go into multi-level marketing succeed? No. The business model is dependent upon signing up a lot of people. The majority of them are disappointed, and the majority get burned. But one or two will succeed. And then they will sign up a lot of people under them. The majority get burned, and one or two succeed. And so I just have to ask you, does that look like the kingdom?
No.
But I have known people that are kingdom people that have done multi-level, and I think they've tried to do it in a godly way. So, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying the system itself is not designed to succeed. The business model itself is not designed to succeed in a kingdom way.
Yes.
take it for what it is. I think they told me tea is ready. So let's go get tea, and then we'll come back after that and conclude. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Thank you very much.